Do you have a friend that you want to get into UFC, but you don't know where to start? Or maybe you've heard of UFC and you've seen these epic knockouts on your feed, but you're like, what even is this? Just two people punching each other in a cage? I don't get it. Well, don't worry. I'm TeepKick, and today we're breaking down how to get into watching the UFC, even if you know nothing about it. We're talking fights, drama, and why this sport is basically like a real life superhero movie. So stick with me, and by the end, you'll basically be a UFC pro with all the ball knowledge. So let's jump right in. All right, first things first. UFC stands for Ultimate Fighting Championship, and it's the biggest promotion for mixed martial arts, or MMA. Think of it as a sport where fighters are using punches, kicks, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu in an octagon, and they're not just using boxing or karate or wrestling, it's everything combined. So it's the closest thing you'll get to like a simulated fight between two men. The UFC is where the best fighters throw down, and it's pure chaos in the best possible way. There are 8 different weight classes in the UFC, so a 250-pound monster isn't beating up on a 5-foot tall, 125-pound fighter. I'll throw up an easy graphic on the screen right now for you to reference these different weight classes, and then you can kind of get a gist for them. The fighters usually cut weight before they fight so that they can have a size advantage on fight day. So you'll see some fighters like Paddy Pimblett who walk around like nearly 190 pounds and will cut all the way down to 155, which is some pretty crazy stuff, but to be a pro fighter, you have to be a little crazy. Next, I want to talk about how you win in the UFC. So it's not just who punches harder or who hits the other person more. Fights usually last 3 rounds, 5 rounds if it's a championship or main event, and each round is 5 minutes. You can win by knocking someone out, boom, lights out, or by submission, like choking them out or twisting their arm until they tap out. Even if no one's knocked out or tapping out, judges decide the winner based on 1, effective striking, which is most important, who landed the more damaging shots and more of them. 2, effective grappling, submission attempts and ground and pound matter most, not just laying on top of your opponent. 3 and 4 are octagon control and aggressiveness. These 2 aren't as important, are rarely gone to, and are rarely referenced because they only come into play if effective striking and grappling are 100% even between the 2 fighters, which never happens. Oh, and there's other rules like no eye poking, no low blows, and no biting, unless you're this guy right here. Alright, so you get how the UFC works, but why should you care about UFC instead of like basketball or football or these other mainstream sports? Maybe your friend sent you this video, but you're still not convinced. You should get into MMA because UFC is not just a sport. It's a soap opera with punches. You've got these trash-talking superstars like Conor McGregor, real-life villains like Jon Jones and Ilia Topuria, and even the beloved heroes like Max Holloway, Stephen Thompson, and Alex Volkanovski. You even have these insane comebacks, like where fighters are losing and land a Hail Mary knockout. And the stories, like fighters will train for years, sometimes since they were kids, from nothing, from random countries that you've never heard of to become champions. It's real, raw, and every fight feels like it's life or death inside that cage. Think of WWE with no script. You'll be on the edge of your seat, trust me, especially if it's your favorite fighter in there going against a tough opponent. It's an absolute nail biter. Alright, ready to become a UFC fan? Well, here's the game plan. First, you need to start by watching some highlights or knockouts on YouTube. You may have already seen that kind of stuff all over Instagram, Twitter, etc. Even get into some of the drama maybe. Luckily, I already have a video on the top 5 rivalries that will blow you away. So I recommend checking that out as well so you can get a gist of the history of the UFC and see what it's like when 2 fighters really hate each other. Some good fighters to check out are Justin Gaethje, Ilia Topuria, Alex Pereira, Khamzat Chimaev, and Anderson Silva. All these clips are pure adrenaline and they'll get you hooked fast. Then jump into a big pay-per-view event like UFC 318, 319, etc. If you ever see UFC followed by one of those numbers, you know it's a numbered card / pay-per-view. These are the big cards that happen once a month, and they're usually stacked with a lot of good fighters and an epic main event. First impressions are everything, so pick a night when the octagon is on fire with these good cards. Next, pick an exciting fighter to root for, someone like Tom Aspinall, who's one of the best heavyweights we've ever seen, or Max Holloway for his sick duels in the center of the cage. Also, watch with some friends, preferably that have watched MMA before. Make some food, gather around the TV, invite people over, have some fun with it. It'll really boost the experience for you. Finally, I want to leave you with some UFC lingo so you don't sound like a total newbie at the party. MMA stands for Mixed Martial Arts, and that's the name of the sport. UFC is not the sport, it's just the name of the promotion these guys fight for. A takedown is when one guy grabs another guy and takes him to the ground. The octagon is the cage where the magic happens. Ground and pound is when a fighter takes someone down and starts raining punches on them. A submission is when you make your opponent tap out, either from like a choke or a joint submission. So think like arms, legs, etc. And when you hear "and still" at the end of the fight, you know that the announcer is hyping up the champ who just won. If you hear "and new," that means the challenger just beat the champion. Most importantly, in my opinion, is the teep kick, which is when you use your foot kind of like a sword to stab your opponent right in the midsection. My personal favorite. There's a ton more, so I will link that to you in the description below if you want to check out some new words and lingo that you can use at the next UFC watch party. Drop these terms at the watch party and you'll look like you've been a fan since UFC 1. And that's it. You're ready to jump into the wild world of UFC. So start watching, pick your favorite fighter, and get ready to lose your voice. Drop a comment below with who you're going to be rooting for, and subscribe if you want more MMA content like this. Thank you for watching, boys. It's Teep Kick, and I'm out.